Welcome, amigos. BodyTrust 7. This is the classroom. Today we're going to talk about worry. But I want to remind you to visit my website at drkind.com, D-R-K-I-H-N, as in naughty.com. There you will find all of my video and podcast episodes, as well as my newsletter, monthly newsletter. Sign up for it, and sign up for private sessions with me by Skype or in person. And now about worry. God, almost everybody I know worries. I'll tell you the truth, I don't worry. I don't worry about anything anymore. I stopped it many years ago. Because after all, worrying is a habit. Habits are learned. They're not genetic. They're learned. That's the nice thing, because what you can learn, you can unlearn. I unlearned how to worry. I grew up worrying like everybody else. Worried myself sick. Literally. I think the biggest turning point for me was discovering the philosophy of Taoism when I started studying Chinese medicine. That made so much sense to me. And then I started wondering, worrying actually doesn't help anything. A lot of people think, oh, I have to worry, otherwise something bad will happen. Something bad is happening while you are worrying. It's called liver qi stagnation in Chinese medicine. All kind of problems come from that, and that's that cortisol and other nasty chemicals flowing through your system that keep you on edge all the time. That's worrying. Worrying about times that don't exist. And let's face it, the future doesn't exist. The past does not exist. These are all constructs of imagination in your mind. These are thoughts that you choose to follow or choose to promote. Future doesn't exist. You know what exists? Right now. You and me, right here, right now. So when I feel myself starting to go there, there are a number of things I tell myself. Number one, worrying doesn't help me at all. Number two, the future doesn't exist. So what? What am I thinking? And, everything is temporary anyway. Everything's temporary, so get over it, Doug. And then I realized, I was thinking about it more, I will always have problems. Always. And problems are there for my growth. Problems force me to grow. So therefore, I came to the realization that problems and solutions are of equal value, just like yin and yang are of equal value. Mind and body are of equal value. We either grow or we die. When you look at a flower, it looks like it's standing still, but it really isn't. It's either on the way up or it's on the way down. So, welcome your problems. Celebrate your problems. Be grateful you have problems, because frankly, without problems, I don't think life would be worth living. It really wouldn't. We need problems to be healthy. And I stopped trying to be happy. I'm not chasing the happiness bandwagon like everyone else. What I'm after is peace of mind. And that requires constant vigilance and constant balance. That's Taoism. Constant balance. Peace of mind is sort of like a movie. When you go to a movie, you watch a movie, right? You're feeling all these emotions that the director wants you to feel, right? Up and down, right? But inside, it's just a movie. You can walk out any time. It's a sort of detachment. Well, that's the way I feel. I feel all my emotions. I feel emotions strongly, especially because I'm fairly lean and mean. No, not really. But I don't want the emotions drag me down, because I know that it's just information about what's going on inside of my body, emotions. And they're all temporary anyway. And they need to flow. Emotions must flow with the moment if you are going to be healthy. So, I want to tell you a story I heard in my first year studying Chinese medicine. There was once a farmer. You could picture him in China if you like. He could be anywhere. He was known in the village as a fairly wise man. People came to him for advice. Well, one morning he woke up and he went out to look at his animals, and there in his small corral, the gate was open, and there was this magnificent horse. I mean, like a thoroughbred. He couldn't believe it. Where did this horse come from? My goodness. So he checked it over, and there was no bridle, or there's no brand. There's no indication where this horse came from. And of course, the horse wasn't talking. The horse was just happy to be there. Ah. So all his neighbors, one by one, two by two, three by threes, they came over to congratulate him. They said, "Wow, you're such a lucky guy. What a good thing this horse is for you. What a good omen." And the farmer, kind of scratched his head and said, "Well, it does seem like a good thing, but I'm not really sure that it's good. I'm not totally convinced." And his neighbor said, "Are you nuts? You should be on your knees thanking the gods. Thank heaven for this wonderful gift. You're wacky." They walked away shaking their heads. So, a week later, his teenage son was out riding on this horse, and the horse saw a snake and reared up, and the boy fell off onto the ground, onto a rock, and he broke his lower leg. So they had to be carried back to the farmhouse, and the bone setter came over, and he set the bone. And he said, "Well, you're put in a cast." And he says, "You're going to be laid up for at least a month, probably 2. Well, the neighbors all came over and shared their condolences, and they said, "You were right about that horse. That was a bad luck omen." And the farmer said, "Well, that's not exactly what I said. It does seem, I don't know, it does seem like a bad thing, but to tell you the truth, I'm not really sure if it's good or bad yet. If that horse is really a good thing or a bad thing for me." And they said, "Are you crazy? It's a demon. Get rid of it. Chop it up for horse meat before it's too late." They walked away shaking their heads. Well, another week went by, and a warlord was bringing his army through that territory, and they stopped in a village, and they went searching through the village to round up all the young men and force them to work for this army in some far-off battlefield. And they came to the boy with the cast, and they said, "Well, we can't use you. We'll leave you behind." And they left with all the young men. And the village was in mourning. And the neighbors came over and congratulated the farmer and said, "You were right about that horse. That was a good luck thing. That was a good thing that happened to you. Very good. Good call." And the farmer said, "Well, yeah, it does seem kind of good. But to tell you the truth, I'm still not sure if it's a good or bad thing that happened to me." And "You are whacked out. You are a nut job, dude." They walked away shaking their heads. So the story goes on and on like that. That's the story. I have another story for you. We only got a few minutes. Did you ever read The Tao of Pooh? Great book. Highly recommended. The Pooh Bear is a Taoist, but he's not very educated. He doesn't know a lot of things. He doesn't study the Tao Te Ching. I don't even think he can read. But he lives in the moment. Everything for him is in the moment. Yes, he can plan for the future. Yes, he can analyze the past. but he lives for the moment. And so one of his friends was having a birthday, and the Pooh Bear thought, wouldn't it be wonderful to bring my friend a jar of the most wonderful thing in the world I can think of, and that is honey. So he went and got a jar of honey. And as he was walking through the forest towards his friend's place, he looked at this honey and said, I haven't tested this honey to make sure it's good. I better do that. So he opened it. And, oh, pretty good. Oh, that's nice. He sat down and said, I did have a little bit. Well, before you know it, he was licking the jar and it was empty. Now, what would you do in that case? Well, I'll tell you what the Pooh Bear did. He looked at this in the moment and he said, wow, what a great storage container. I'm going to take this to my friend and give him a storage container. Which he did. And his friend said, wow, a great storage container. Thank you so much. So this is how to avoid liberty stagnation. Stop worrying and make it a habit to stop yourself when you're heading that direction. Just say some of these things that I've told you. You might also check out the Tao of Pooh by Benjamin Huff. It was written quite a long time ago and is never out of print. That's all for now. Amigos, adios. Stay tuned for Wellness in the News. Welcome to Wellness in the News, BodyTrust 7. I'm your reporter, Dr. Doug. I have a few items of interest here for you. The first one is, the headline is, Oxidants Dispose of Dead Cells in the Body. Remember all those foods and drinks we're supposed to buy that have antioxidants, the blueberries and the cranberries and I don't know what all, that are antioxidant? Well, it turns out, from the University of Louisville, scientists demonstrate the importance of oxidants in the digestion of dead cells. If dead cells accumulate in the body, they can contribute to inflammation and predispose individuals to multiple chronic inflammatory conditions, such as rheumatoid arthritis, cardiovascular diseases, Crohn's disease, or lupus, or the list is extremely long and growing every day because it's an epidemic. Well, we see this as stagnation in Chinese medicine, pure and simple. And stagnation creates heat. I've explained this before, how stagnation, the energy is trying to get through, and it goes up against the barrier, and as it grinds against that barrier to try to get around it or through it, it creates friction, and that creates heat. And that heat creates inflammation. All kinds of inflammatory and autoimmune diseases are the result of dead cells not being cannibalized, well, not being recycled, you might say. The body knows how to recycle them and then dispose of what it can't use through the urine and stool. So just eat what your body wants. Here's another one, spouses and weight management. I've run up against this a lot, believe me, trying to help people lose weight over the years. Couples who are trying to lose weight could be putting their relationship under strain by using unsuitable strategies to achieve their weight loss goals. A new study suggests, I love how they suggest everything, they can't actually come out and say it for sure. 4 types of interactions. Well, they describe 4 types of interactions, and only synchronized works the best. And I agree. If 2 people live together and they're on the same path, they're going to help each other. But if they're at opposite ends, they're not. And that goes for your friends too. If you're trying to lose weight, or you're trying to get off of alcohol, and you hang out with overeaters, or you hang out with alcoholics, guess what? Nope. That's why I say, you want to get rid of addictive behavior, you have to change who you are. And maybe change your friends too. It'd be a tough call. Here's a nice one. Sitting for long periods is unhealthy. A study published online in Annals of Internal Medicine found that adults who sit for 1 to 2 hours at a time without moving have a higher mortality rate than adults who accrue the same amount of sedentary time in shorter bouts. This is true even for those who exercise regularly. I know that if I sit in one spot for an hour and then I try to get up and try to walk, no, I don't think so. It's just really disastrous. I have to get up like every 15-20 minutes, every half hour at least. Just briefly, just get up and do something. Just move around. Of course, the Chinese are very on top of this, too much sitting, too much laying down, too much standing, too much walking, too much running. Ain't good for you. It's all about balance. So, see, everything gets stagnant. If you sit for too long, the energy, the chi, just stagnates. And then you have chi stagnation. Well, who needs that? We don't need that. My last article today. Poor social skills damage the body. From the University of Arizona. While social skill deficits have long been linked to mental health problems like depression, a new study links poor social skills to poor physical health as well. Those who struggle in social situations experience more stress and loneliness, which can take a toll on the body. So here we have liver chi stagnation, as we call it in Chinese medicine. Now, that's your Chinese liver, not your physical liver. Okay. This causes stagnant emotions, which result from stagnant thought. And it's painful. And it creates a condition of continuous cortisol and other emergency hormones and other chemicals in the body that prepare you to fight or flee all the time. Not good, not healthy. Of course, it's going to cause a whole long list of physical problems. Yeah. So, if you're having trouble with being with other people, then you need some therapy. Get some counseling. I know it takes a lot of huevos. Get into a counseling session and experience all those difficult emotions, crying, and I've been through it all. I've been through 7 years of therapy. And it was difficult, but I came out way different. Way different. It also helped when I started swing dancing. Social milieu, very important for social skills. So you got to do it. You got to do it. That's all there is to it. All right, well, that's all the wellness news. That's fit to yell at you. Stay tuned for the interview. Hi, Lauren.
Hi, Doug.
Lauren, let's get right into it, shall we?
Let's.
What is sexuality coaching, and why do we need it?
Going right into the coaching. So sexuality coaching is someone who coaches you to help you have a more fulfilling experience of your sexuality. So you don't necessarily have to be in a relationship. The work that we do can just be helping you overcome your own internalized sense of shame with sexuality, belief systems, miseducation. There's a ton of that. And just helping you to be your most authentic self in your sexuality, have the most pleasure you can have, overcome any obstacles like pain or low libido or things like that. And I think everybody needs sexuality coaching. We grew up in a very oppressive sexual culture.
Well, that's for sure.
And we all need to get back in touch with what's innate and natural in ourselves.
Who do you normally help?
I normally work with women. So for all of you women out there listening, I love to coach women, all ages. Particularly, I love working with women after they've had babies, women who have gone through menopause, helping to re-educate them. There's so many myths about sex as we grow older. We're sort of not allowed to be sexual when we're older, when we're pregnant, after we've had a baby. There are all these taboos when we're on our period. You know, our sexuality, that's one of the many ways it's been suppressed. So I love to work with women to help give them permission to be sexual beings. I also occasionally work with men, but mostly through courses I offer on my website and through my work as an author.
See. And you are an author.
I am.
Of 4 books.
And more to come.
And that first one I read was The New Rules of Sex. Blew my mind.
I'll never forget your response to it. You were like 10 pages in, and you told me, like, why did you give me this book? And I had this sort of deep like panic, like, oh no, he's not ready to like read all these personal stories about me. And then you wrote me after you'd finished it and wrote, I think, one of the greatest things I've ever read. Doug had this huge epiphany about sexuality, right? And I was so happy that you got so much out of the book.
You know, I learned a lot about female sexuality that I never knew, and I highly recommend you get that book, The New Rules of Sex. And she's got 3 other great books too. They're available on Amazon, right?
Amazon and Kindle, and that's so great to hear, because that was one of my goals, was that men would better understand who women are sexually
men should get
through
that
sharing.
book and read it. Get that book and read it, guys. Hello.
Yes.
Figure it out. Oh, what drives you to do this work, Lauren?
You know, I have always been interested in people and helping people. I've always had a lot of compassion and empathy for human suffering, and I find one of the greatest ways to remediate suffering is to help people become their most authentic selves in their sexuality. It opens up a lot of self-love and compassion, permission to be themselves, find happiness through sex and relationship. So for me, sexuality coaching was a need that I saw. I was training to be a midwife, and I saw that even the midwives, the healthcare practitioners, the therapists, even your best friends, there's nowhere to talk with people about sex. And I wanted to just open my doors and say, this is a safe place to talk about sex.
It's a taboo subject.
It's very taboo, and there's not a lot of people that you can find that won't judge you, that won't say your sexuality is only okay in this box. Your sexuality is only okay when you're married or with one partner, or if it looks this way, or the woman's on her back. I mean, there's like all of these ideas about what's sacred sex and good sex versus this other thing. So I provide a very inclusive, sex-positive space. And whoever you are sexually, and whatever you want to know, and whatever you want to experience, as long as it's consensual sex with consenting adults, is considered normal. And I work with all orientations, all ages, and all stages of life.
Can you tell us a little bit about your background relating to sexual coaching?
Yeah, so I was studying to be a midwife for, I did the program for a year before I realized I did not want to be a midwife. I wanted to work in sexual education. And before that,
you didn't want to stay in the red tent.
No, I didn't want to be on call at midnight. And with most American women transferring to the hospitals, you know, American women have lost how to birth, and a big part of that is we're so disconnected from our sexuality. I've worked with women who couldn't get babies through their pelvises, but it's because most of them had never even put a finger in their own vagina. I mean, we're so disconnected from our sexuality, and birth has been affected by that. But before midwife, I was a doula, and then even prior to that, I worked in alternative healthcare for many years, and it's been about 15 years now. So that was really where I began this understanding of the body-mind connection, and that our emotions and our stories and our traumas and our education were all showing up in our body. And so I'm able to help a lot of women with pain with sex and things like this that allopathic medicine can't figure out where it's coming from. Right. And I'm able to address that in my work.
What other problems, sexual problems with women have you encountered?
So some of the most common ones are no sex drive, pain with sex, lack of lubrication, inability to have an orgasm with a partner, inability to just communicate desire. You know, so many women struggle to even tell their husbands that they want sex, to initiate sex, to talk about the kind of sex they want. You know, postpartum issues of, you know, incontinence or discomfort or just fear.
Or depression.
Yeah, depression is a big one.
Pretty big.
Yeah, so those were a lot of the issues, and I think people just, also some women that are having some pleasure but know that more pleasure is possible. They want to understand, what are these orgasms or this squirting, or, what are these things that other women are sort of hearing about on TV or in conversations, and they want to experience it for themselves, and they don't know where to get that information.
What about men? Do men have sexual problems? A leading
Oh my
question.
God,
A leading
yes.
question.
Well, it's funny. I love working with men, but I just feel my life's work is with women. But if men come to me with questions, I love to answer them. I love to talk with them about their bodies, their capacity for multiple orgasms, their capacity for non-ejaculatory orgasms, the importance of prostate massage, penetration of the anus, anal play for men, testicle play. Like there's so
Holy
many,
mackerel.
like men are so focused on just the penis, and they forget this whole incredible network of pleasure, and then teaching them about women's bodies and everything that's possible, talking to them about what really affects their erection and, their own self-esteem, their, unresolved past relationships. There's so much work to do.
We got a lot to learn.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about.
In spite of the fact that men and women have been having sex for hundreds of thousands of years.
We have.
What's going on here? How come we're so stupid?
It should be the most evolved thing we do, since it's the reason we're still here, and it's like we haven't had cars since the beginning of time, but we have been having sex. But, sex is such a powerful thing that it's been controlled by culture, by religion, by taboos, and
Advertising.
Now we're so affected by the media. I mean, the media is educating us all the time how to have sex, who we are sexually, the roles that we play, the gender roles, and how that affects sexual dynamics, what birth looks like, the screaming woman in the wheelchair coming into the hospital, get the baby out of me. I mean, that's literally the role that women take in sex, like lay back here, you give me the pleasure, and then the man has it's his whole job to like bring her to sexual ecstasy, and all the taboos around masturbation, how that affects our sex lives. So even though we've been having sex since the beginning, we have no access in our education system to sex ed. I mean, there are so many barriers to being able to master our own bodies, our own sexuality, to know ourselves, and then be able to share that with partners.
You remember that song, I Touch Myself? What do you think of masturbation? Is that a good thing?
Yes, masturbation, I like to call self-pleasuring, is one of the most healthy, important things you'll ever do. It's the foundation of your sex life. It's so good to boost your immune system, improve your sleep, which helps with weight loss and general, overall well-being, vitality. It slows the aging process. It decreases the risk of heart disease. I mean, anything you do, sex or masturbation or even just cuddling and play and making out, all of this is so good for our health, our connection, our mental well-being.
So it doesn't stunt your growth.
Or make you blind, or make your hand fall off. No,
or
none of that.
grow hair on the palm of your,
Yeah, I know. The things
it's in the Boy Scout manual.
I know. It was not that long ago that we were educated about masturbation and oral sex,
Right.
and yeah. I know.
Tell me about this adult playmat that you invented.
Yes, I invented something.
You invented a thing to
I invented
sell.
a thing, yes. So the playmat for adults, or the adult playmat, is a playmat for period sex, or any kind of messy sex play involving lube or squirting or whatever other kind of mess you're making. And I created it because as women, we, are the ones who typically make the mess during sex, especially if we're on our period, and I wanted to create an easy way to clean up afterwards and not have to do a bunch of laundry. So the playmat you just throw down on the bed, you can move it around during sex, you wipe it up afterwards with a baby wipe, or under the shower. You can take it on vacation, you can take it to your in-laws' house, and it just gives women more freedom to enjoy their bodies, enjoy sexuality every day of the month, and not sort of have this, oh, I can't have sex because I'm on my period and it's a big hassle and it's a big mess. And so I'm encouraging women to use this to feel more liberated, and men, I'm encouraging you to buy this for your women partners so that, potentially you can get laid more, because the women feel,
more comfortable.
Right. Yeah, we all,
And so where can men buy this?
They can buy it at adultplaymat.com or on my website, Brim.
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good.
Yeah.
Tell me, what is the most surprising thing you discovered in your work?
The most surprising thing.
A surprising thing.
I'd say the most surprising thing is just how many questions people have about the most basic things, and just how little resolution we get about sexuality because there's no one to talk to. You know, so many people go to therapy, and we seem to live in this very open culture where, oh, we're so sexual, and look at the media, and yet, people are hung up on really basic things, unable to ask their partners for really basic things. In my last book, Your Boyfriend's Hooker, one of the men is paying a sex worker for sex because he's too ashamed to tell his girlfriend what he wants.
Yeah,
And I'm like, well, what is it that he wants? And he wanted her to pinch his nipples while she sat on his face or something. I mean, something so,
By the way,
basic.
ladies, I really highly recommend you get that book and read it. It's a eye-opener.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of stuff that, I knew about, but I imagine, women would just become shocked to learn about men's sexuality.
Mm-hmm. A lot of women have said that it's really helped them understand who men are better.
How crazy we are.
Yeah. And pop a lot of those bubbles and bust those myths that, men just want to fuck and all of this. Like, men want connection. They want to feel like they're giving women pleasure.
And over again.
They want the same things we do. Like, what an epiphany. So, yeah. A really important book. And
so, Dr. Lauren, how can people reach you if they need more information?
Well, they can come to laurenbrim.com or adultplaymat.com. But I recommend laurenbrim.com. I have all my courses, all my books. I've got a lot of new products I'm bringing to market to just make sexuality more fun for you. And and I've got a lot of free YouTube videos and free sex ed there. So go check it out.
Super.
Thanks, Doug.
Well, thank you, Dr. Lauren. It's been a pleasure. And thanks for coming on my show.
Anytime.
And I'm going to invite you again after.
There's more to talk about.
After a while, there's lots to talk about.
Cool. Thanks.
So, thank you for watching, and that's been my interview with Dr. Lauren Brim. Welcome, amigos. Dr. Doug here. Please subscribe to my show. And be sure to share it with your friends. Also, please click that little bell so that you will be notified every time I post a new episode.